Imagine a world consumed by fire, a world where cities vanish in blinding flashes. This is the terrifying reality of a nuclear war between the United States and Russia. This is not science fiction, it is a threat that hangs over all of us. We have the power to prevent this catastrophe, but we must understand the stakes. The consequences of a nuclear exchange between these superpowers would be unlike anything humanity has ever witnessed. Millions would die instantly, entire cities would be reduced to rubble, and the long-term effects would be even more devastating. This is not a future we have to accept, it is a choice, and it is a choice we must make together. In the first minutes of a nuclear war, the world would change forever. Nuclear-tipped missiles launched from silos and submarines would reach their targets in a matter of minutes. The explosions would be unimaginably powerful. Cities like New York, Moscow, and Beijing would be vaporized. Tens of millions would die instantly. The lucky ones would be killed outright. Many more would be horrifically burned, crushed, or poisoned by radiation. This is the grim reality of nuclear war. The numbers are staggering: 34.1 million immediate deaths, 57.4 million injured, and these are just the initial casualties. The true death toll would be far higher. A nuclear attack would not be a single event. It would be the beginning of a horrifying chain reaction. After the initial strikes, both sides would likely retaliate. More missiles would be launched, more cities would burn. Submarine-launched ballistic missiles, hidden beneath the ocean's surface, would add to the devastation. These missiles could strike anywhere in the world with little warning. The attacks would continue until one side was utterly destroyed. But by then, it would be too late for everyone. The world would be engulfed in a nuclear holocaust. Nuclear weapons are not just incredibly powerful, they are also incredibly precise. Military strategists have spent decades planning for nuclear war. They have identified key targets that would cripple their enemies. These targets are not just military bases, they are the very heart of civilization. Command centers where leaders make life or death decisions would be among the first targets. This would create chaos and confusion, making it difficult to coordinate a response. Launch sites, where nuclear missiles are stored and prepared for launch, would also be targeted. This would prevent either side from launching a second strike. But the most chilling targets are civilian population centers. Cities like New York, London, and Paris would be targeted simply because they are home to millions of people. Section 5. A world transformed, the environmental catastrophe. The immediate devastation of a nuclear war would be horrific enough, but the long-term consequences would be even more profound. The explosions would ignite massive firestorms. These fires would rage for days, releasing billions of tons of soot and smoke into the atmosphere. This would block out the sun, causing a global nuclear winter. Temperatures would plummet, crops would fail, billions would face starvation. The radioactive fallout would contaminate vast areas of the planet. This invisible killer would cause cancer, birth defects, and other health problems for generations to come. The environment would be irreversibly damaged. The planet would be a very different place. Section 6. Global chaos, a world on fire. A nuclear war between the US and Russia would not be a localized conflict. It would be a global catastrophe. The entire world would be affected. NATO allies, bound by treaty obligations, would be drawn into the conflict. This would widen the war, engulfing Europe and potentially other regions. The global economy would collapse. Trade would grind to a halt. Millions would be plunged into poverty. The humanitarian crisis would be unlike anything we have ever seen. Refugees would flee war-torn regions in search of safety, but there would be nowhere to go. The world would be a much darker and more dangerous place. Section 7. A dangerous game, the rise of nuclear risk. The risk of nuclear war is higher today than it has been in decades. This is not because of some new threat. It is because of a dangerous combination of factors. The global arms control regime which helped to prevent nuclear war during the Cold War is crumbling. Treaties have been abandoned, trust has eroded, new nuclear weapons are being developed. These weapons are more accurate and more destructive than ever before, and the scenarios for their use are expanding. Cyber attacks, misinformation campaigns, and accidental escalation could all lead to a nuclear exchange. The world is a more dangerous place because of it. Section 8. The brink of annihilation, a stark warning. The consequences of a nuclear war between the US and Russia are unthinkable. Millions would die. Civilization as we know it would come to an end. This is not hyperbole. It is the stark reality of the nuclear age. We live in a time of unprecedented danger, but we also live in a time of unprecedented opportunity. We have the power to prevent nuclear war, but we must act now. We must reduce nuclear arsenals. We must strengthen arms control treaties, and we must find ways to resolve conflicts peacefully. The future of humanity depends on it. Section 9. Our collective responsibility, choosing a different path. The threat of nuclear war is real, but it is not inevitable. We have a choice to make. We can continue down the path of confrontation and risk annihilation, or we can choose a different path. We can choose dialogue over destruction. We can choose cooperation over conflict. We can choose a future where nuclear weapons are no more. The choice is ours. Let us choose wisely. Let us choose peace. The future of humanity depends on it.